Once Human is a unique looter-shooter open-world survival crafting MMO. Man, is that a mouthful. It has taken a lot of the aspects of this genre that I really enjoy and smashed them all together into this Division-like open world. First, I'm going to go over the basics and then touch a little bit on the privacy policy issue and what are these seasons. So this is a shared open world game that you can freely travel through without all of those pesky loading screens between areas, except for occasionally entering a monolith, dungeon, or when you're fast traveling, and none of which are lengthy either. It does stutter on me from time to time when entering new areas, but it doesn't last long. Heck, I still get that in Rust occasionally. I never found myself without something to do or to explore while traversing this supernatural wasteland. Whether it be a farm, stronghold, or town filled with quests and merchants and zombies and ghouls, or encountering other players just running about, I've never seemed to find myself bored or without any purpose. Once you get through this opening tutorial, the game does help guide you through all the basic systems and features of the game to get you started. With a vast amount of tabs and menus to sort through, it can be overwhelming at first, but it's pretty easy to pick up on. The game then kicks you out of the nest like a baby bird and hopes you survive among a school bus with legs. Now it's time to chop some trees, mine some ore, hunt some animals, and gather some plants, all in the name of progress. Build a base, craft some gear, and you're ready to go exploring. Now begins the best part of Once Human, the madness of the looter shooter. Every location you visit will have objectives to help you gain XP, gear, and resources. From killing enemies, looting different chests, and solving puzzles, there's never a shortage of objectives to complete along the way. Speaking of progression, let's talk about gear and crafting. The main point of gear progression is through crafting and resource gathering. Between ore, wood, flowers, and animals, you'll need to farm and craft to progress. You can find some higher tier weapons and armor out in the world, but they cannot be repaired once they break and are only a stopgap between taking the next step. Armor and weapons you craft can also be upgraded to an extent with the resources you gather. Blueprints are also scattered throughout the world, which you'll need to make new and improved versions. There's also the wish machine. That is an item you can craft through progression. It's where you are going to get the bulk of the endgame blueprints, and it is very much a gotcha kind of setup. You spend in-game currency you earn, called Starcrom, to push a button you see what RNG has in store for you. You'll also get mods to add to your armor and weapons to enhance their base stats and apply buffs or resistances. Let's not forget about your cradle, which is your space backpack, and houses the ability to progress your skills as you level up throughout the game. Your memetics are the crafting progression in the game, which is where you unlock the various aspects of things like base building, tool, and gear proficiency. You'll also unlock the cradle override buffs that increase all sorts of character stats, from damage increases and reduction, healing, and farming efficiency depending on how you want to play the game, which are granted to you every 5 levels. There are also larger locations with specific stylings and unique names like hospitals, factories, and research facilities to explore. You'll have to activate the Rift Anchor, clear enemies, loot fancy chests, all while working towards the next step, which is unlocking the monoliths. These bad boys are home to the area's main boss, and defeating it not only gives you some sweet loot and XP, but advances the story and allows you to unlock the next region location. These fights have a raid-like feel to it because they are the toughest cock on the block, and they have different phases to them as you deal damage, bringing them closer to their demise. Right now we only have 3 of these, but there are 2 more confirmed, but will unlock as the season progresses. Outside of doing the prescribed story content, there is just a massive amount of things to do and explore. This is the thing I've enjoyed the most while playing the game because it very much plays into my short attention span. You can't turn your head without finding a shiny object to go off and stare at. Between crafting, world events, public events, exploration, to hunting down deviations to capture as pets, this game does truly offer a little bit of everything without watering down something else. Don't forget to get plenty of sleep, eat a good hearty meal, and drink plenty of water. Without it, well, you get the point. Moving on to the next phase, they also gave us base building. You are able to stake claim to an area and build to your heart's content, unless someone builds next to you before you expand your territory marker. Either way, it's still a fun aspect of it, giving you a place to rest, store your gear, make weapons, armor, and ammo, and cook up some pretty tasty dishes. It does also become a fast travel point, so you don't have to lug all that sweet loot through a plethora of things that just want to eat you. And you do lose a portion of your supplies if you go down and have to pick up all your stuff. The system in and of itself is very standard, and it doesn't take long to figure out what you can and cannot do, but it is essential to progression. Don't forget to shore up your defense as well, because you're going to need it. Eventually, you'll want to build something called a Stardust Resonator that allows you to trigger a defense mode to gather a resource called Starcrom, which you'll need for late game blueprints. You still don't think that's good enough? Well, how about the Deviants? Cute little Pokemon-like creatures you encounter through quests, by fishing, or just at random that you can catch and bring back to your base to house. They offer unique powers you can use in combat and around your homestead to do chores. They do have wants and needs too, you know, so make sure to pay attention to what keeps them happy and productive. Some want to listen to certain music or sounds, be warmer or cooler, or like certain decorations to be near them to keep them waking up in the morning. So what do I think of the game? Well, like Preparation H, it feels good and soothing on the whole. It takes a lot of the little things I've enjoyed about this genre of games and makes it new and shiny and does it fairly well. I've really liked this game so far, and I know it comes down to the amount of content to enjoy, mashing the elements of all the little things I enjoy about gaming in general, and giving me a supernatural world to let it take shape. It's just a great combination to mindlessly enjoy. The gameplay loop is fun, simply because of the variety of things to do and explore. You're not immediately locked into playing a story. If you want, you can just go venture off and explore a new place, do some fishing, farm some crops, beat a supernatural zombie in the head with a baseball bat, riddles, puzzles, crafting. You're never going to run out of things to do. I can play this game for a whole day without ever progressing the story and feel like I'm just playing the game. I love the world, the setting is cool, the player base has been super friendly and helpful to all of the other players. There is literally something to do for everyone and anyone. This is also a free-to-play game that does come with a battle pass, but so far it's not a pay-to-win aspect of the game. It very easily could if they added the ability to purchase Starcrom for real money, because some of the content is time gated like blueprints, and it would introduce a bit of more of a pay to skip rather than a pay to win model. I want to say that in all the hours I've played so far, I have not felt the need to spend any money on anything when it's all cosmetic anyways. But because I've unlocked enough in the game so far, I really haven't even scratched the surface of what's left to do for the season. With all that being said, there are some negatives to Once Human, as with all games. The difficulty of the game is definitely a little lackluster. The AI is about as intuitive as Helen Keller in a dark cave, and so far I've been able to one-shot most non-boss creatures with an upgraded crossbow. The boss mechanics do add a little difficulty to the mix, but it's still nothing to make you sweat bullets over. The combat in the game is far from challenging unless you've just wandered into an area that's above your current level. The gunplay feels good in the game, but the melee combat and the general movement of your character feels a little clunky. There is a precision movement option you can activate, but it doesn't really seem like it makes any kind of real impact on the way you move around, at least not so far. Now, this one is a general complaint. It's not really so much one of mine, but it's the season content. Where each season only lasts about 6 weeks before it resets. Now there are some things to add to that. You know, you can save your base as a template to carry over to the next season, but you will need the resources to craft it as, you know, a whole blueprint. And you don't lose your weapon, armor, and cosmetic blueprints, but you just restart at level 1 and have to progress through the season all over again. Each season is supposed to add new bosses, story, and content, but no one knows so far how that's really going to progress. So is this going to keep players coming back or push them away as time goes on? Obviously, there's always going to be an influx of players at the start of a season, but how many of those will be returning and how many new? This doesn't really bother me because it seems to work kind of similar to Fortnite and their weekly challenges. It's just wrapped in a different package. Not everyone gets to play and game full time. I am one of those, but when I finished the first set of content, I logged on the next day and a new set was unlocked already. and I actually kind of enjoyed that. This game, it was designed by a company in China where they have much different gaming regulations, and they do limit the time people can play during a day. After that X amount of time, your rewards and XP are just drastically decreased, if non-existent at all. So I felt like this is kind of a way the game was designed, so like no one felt like they were forced to miss out on something just because of time restrictions. There would still be plenty of time to complete it before the next one or catch back up. Not everyone gets to enjoy the freedoms of others. So let's talk about the huge elephant in the room that is causing this game to get review bombed on Steam, the EULA. Pirate Software did a fantastic job explaining this. In some countries like China, you have to show a government ID to register to play live service games because they view gaming as a health problem. They actively limit your rewards after X amount of hours, like I said, to stop people from getting fat and lazy and sitting on the couch gaming their whole lives away. They do want them to be productive members of their society. If you do not have to show your government ID to play the game, this law does not apply to you. It even says where the laws apply in the agreement. Most of these people don't understand that you sign the same agreement for every live service program or streaming service that you sign up for. It is a very standard agreement that every company asks you to sign to protect not just themselves, but us as consumers as well. I have read the whole agreement from front to back, and it is completely standard. I think my cell phone company probably takes more data from me. If you didn't agree to that, then if the law does not apply to you, they could steal your data and you could do nothing to stop it unless it's already too late. And most of these people probably are spending half their time on Cornhub, not realizing that they've stolen more of your data in 5 minutes of climbing the mango tree than playing Once Human probably ever will. There has been some server issues over the first few days, but so far the devs have been very open and honest with everyone so far, and they've always seemed to send us some kind of compensation for the trouble. It always is in-game loot basically, but hey, it's free, and it does make me feel less frustrated about not being able to log in. All in all though, they seem to try to stay in contact with the community and continue to update us on issues and have spearheaded talking to everyone about fears and concerns with the game as well. Which I always have to give any dev who does that, because most of the time it's all we want. Just a little communication and clarity, and we'll get over it most of the time. So if you haven't tried this game, please do. I and many others are having a lot of fun with this one, and as of this morning, I've seen that they hit 500,000 players. The community is really cool, the gameplay is fun, and the world is unique and creative. I really hope you enjoyed this review as much as I enjoy playing this game. I would like to know your thoughts on the game. Comment down below if you are currently playing, and I appreciate you stopping by. As always, break the game, not your wallet. I'll see you guys all next time.